truck up down November.
Ice cream truck in November. How about that? Nick said he used to tell the kids when the ice cream truck comes, if they hear music, that means they're empty. Were you a tightwad grandpa? Hey, welcome home to Maggie and Bob. They were out in Vegas for a little while and had a good time. And also Dan Kennedy. Dan, had you ever been to an Ohio State game? Quite a few people, huh? And he and his son Jim and a friend were in a camper. Yeah, well, we're all recovering from the Indians' loss, but what a series it was, huh? Go down in history, I suppose, for a number of reasons, but keep our chin up. We've got a good nucleus for years to come. Maybe we can borrow Chicago's signs next year or whatever. Also today, Mara John and Joy Watson are in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, to be with Joy's daughter, Amy Sims. I think she's 40, maybe 41 years old. She was having heart trouble, and they were afraid they may be going to have to do surgery or something. So anyway, Marge and Joy went there this weekend. So if you missed them today, they are not ill, but they are with a family member who's not doing too well. And the Wildmans, Nick and Chris are working in Dayton, insurance-wise, for I think about a month or so, and they have been commuting.
That changed yesterday or the day before. They'll both be home Monday.
Oh, good. But Pam and Haley and the boys went down?
This weekend, yeah.
Did Charlie go with them?
No.
Okay. And evidently on their way back, the boys took sick or something, so they will not be here this morning because of getting in late and everything. And speaking of Chris, I called Charlie the other day and I said, how is he going to be in Dayton when you're about to have a baby? And she said, he'll be here right away. So now it looks like they're done with that assignment and he can be home.
Well, they're having legal problems, so they don't know for sure if they're done, or if it'll just be a week break.
Okay, but maybe they can squeeze the baby in right
Yeah.
now.
That's what we're hoping.
Also in our prayers, Mary Stallmeyer is in St. Joe's Hospital. But please, she's not up to visitors right now. You have to really have a VIP pass to get in, and Debbie's got one that she can tell you about. Debbie's been a good friend of Mary. And Mary just gets easily, at this stage, she just got up to a lot of visitors, and so honoring her comfort level, let's all pray for her. But Michelle Kelly, it just seems like not too long ago I did Michelle and Jim's wedding. She is 45 now, and they're both, Michelle and her husband, are pharmacists in the greater Cleveland area. Michelle had a stroke, and it was pretty serious. It ended up, I think Roseanne was telling me she only has one carotid artery, which made it all more dangerous. But she's doing better now. So she's hoping to get her speech back. Donna said she's just like she's got Novocaine, you know how after you come home from a real rough dental appointment. Jan Wood is with us today, and she's looking better. Remember Donna White in your prayers, and Amy Rossi. Debbie continues to get tests, and remember Shan Wood, and also Burdette Stewart as he continues his therapy. We have a lot of folks who are sick. Any others that we need to add to that? Let's bow. Father, for all of these ones that we have mentioned, we cast our burdens upon you and ask that you will look down on them and help them, bless them, even if it is that they don't get well, bless them that they might learn in this life to suffer well and to bring glory to your name as a result of their good attitude and trusting in you. Bless us today, Father, as we study together. Through Christ we pray. Amen. Dick Moss is sporting new hearing aids. You can't even see them. And he thought about sitting in the foyer today. But he might choose to sit on the back row.
He came out of the restroom singing. He says, I didn't know I had such a big voice.
And he was up here talking with me at Shannon, and he said, am I talking too loud? I'm sitting around two sign-ups, and when we're done, we want to put them on the back table. One of them is for donuts or pastries during the upcoming winter months, and the other one's for janitorial, custodial. So here's all I got some pencil to offer. So help us if you can on those, it'd be great. Let's open our Bibles to Exodus chapter 34. And I'm really surprised at this. I grew up, I remember years ago, Marvin Jacobs put me on to Adam Clark commentary, and I've always found it to be helpful, but I think it was Adam Clark on this particular verse said something like, I have no idea what this means. Which commentators are, they're not inspired, so they have it's okay to say that. In fact, it's kind of refreshing sometimes to hear that kind of candor. But here's how chapter 34 ends. Verse 29 and following. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. It comes under the subcategory of eschatology, and it really gets a little, not real deep, I don't think, but pretty eye-opening, no pun intended, or maybe there was no pun intended there. It came about when Moses was coming down from Mount Sinai, and the two tablets of the testimony were in Moses' hand as he was coming down from the mountain, that Moses did not know that the skin of his face shone because of his speaking with him, the him being capitalized for God. Moses had been up on the mountain speaking with God. When he came down the mountain, his face is aglow. Moses wasn't aware of it. So when Aaron and all the sons of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. I guess they thought it was radioactive in a day when they didn't know what radioactive meant. They were afraid to come near him, and Moses called to them, and Aaron and all the rulers in the congregation returned to him, and Moses spoke to them. And afterward, all the sons of Israel came near, and he commanded them to do everything that the Lord had spoken to him on Mount Sinai. When Moses had finished speaking with them, he put a veil over his face. But whenever Moses went in before the Lord to speak with him, capital H, he would take off the veil until he came out. And when he came out and spoke to the sons of Israel, what had been commanded, the sons of Israel would see the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone. So Moses would replace the veil over his face until he went in to speak with him. The him again being God. What is this about? Are you like Adam Clark and you say, I have no idea what this means? Did anybody have any initial observations? Anybody want to take a stab at this? Don't you feel relaxed with that extra hour of sleep? See, your little hamsters ought to be well rested to answer this problem. All right, let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. One of the rules of Bible interpretation is sometimes when we run into a really difficult passage, we just say, is there other it's great to study a subject in its immediate context, but if it totally baffles us and we can't get much out of it, then we should naturally say, does the Bible talk about this anywhere else? And maybe that will help me some. Vic?
Well, I was just thinking the veil and the temple was written too.
I think there is a connection there, and let's just read this 2 Corinthians text and see. And we could back up a little bit. Let's just start at verse 12. Now, what I want you to notice is a little, maybe your translation, I would ask you to jump in and tell us what it says. But mine, verse 12 begins, having therefore such a hope, Paul and his first century brethren, we use such great boldness in our speech and are not as Moses, who used to put a veil over his face that the sons of Israel might not look intently at the end of what was fading away. Now that alone gives us a good bit of fodder here to think about. There's a contrast here, and it does connect. The veil idea is, as Vic brings up, remember, the veil, when Jesus died on the cross, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. What was the significance of that? What was that essentially announcing? It still had a while to be fully ratified, the changing of the covenants, but what had the veil previously symbolized?
Separation from God.
Say that again?
Separation from God.
Separation. There was a veil drawn, and once a year the high priest could go in, but boy, he better do it just right. He could go beyond the veil to make sacrifice for the people. But everybody else, you stay out. You go beyond the veil, you're dead. So the veil is torn in two from top to bottom by the cross event and everything connected with the cross event. The cross event was not just 6 hours one Friday. When we talk about the cross event, it involves a whole lot of, not only Jesus dying for our sins, but in the process bringing us into a new covenant realm. So when the veil is torn from top to bottom, it's the very opposite of separation. And Fred, I think a good word here would be access. And so you read that in the book of Hebrews, for example, let us draw near with boldness to the throne of grace. They were never been told to draw near to God's presence in Old Testament times. Just the opposite, as we've seen here. They were told, you stay back. We're going to put a boundary marker down around the bottom of the mountain, and we're going to post guards, and you better not trespass, or you will die. Because God's holiness, you're not prepared, based on your own sinfulness, to approach the holiness of God. Keith, is your hand up?
No.
So, is yours up?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, another thing it means is we no longer need another person to intercede between us and God, where we can be our own priest in a way. You know, that's kind of presumptuous to say, but in that manner we are. We no longer need someone else to intercede for us.
Yeah. And that is made real clear too if we read the book of Hebrews real carefully. There is feedback again. There's a Greek word hapax, and hapax legomena is once for all time. It doesn't have to keep on happening. And that's what Jesus then becomes our high priest. And we don't need another high priest, and we don't need him to go in year after year. What he did on the cross is adequate. Now, one last thing here, and I said I didn't want to belabor this, but how can you not? It's such a fascinating topic, but we've thrown it out here for you to look at a little bit more, and don't take the approach and just say, I have no idea, explore it, because we certainly see this language in the New Testament. Moses comes down from the mountain, his face is glowing. This scares the people because it kind of represents that he's been in the presence of God, and we can't get near God. So if Moses is aglow with the presence of God, what if we get too close to him and the glow of God rubs off on us and we find ourselves in peril? But there's something that Moses would speak to them and let them see, but then he would put a veil over his head so that they could not see what? Say it again. Could I borrow your hearing aids and let me just see? Could you hear him with your hearing aids? Okay, see, even with brand new hearing aids, I could not hear you. Okay, so
God's remnants with Moses. His brightness, where it shone stuff.
this is a little complicated, so let me just cut to the chase and throw it out for you to take home. Moses did not want them to see the fading glory, that what he was bringing to them was soon going to fade away. But in New Testament times, it becomes very pertinent for Paul to bring this up. The reason Moses veiled his face was that he went into the presence of God, and it was radiant. He was glowing big time. But the longer he was out, the more his face began to fade. So Paul is using this argument in a really important passage there in 2 Corinthians 3 to say it was never God's intention that the old covenant be more glorious than the new. But it was disguised for a period of time. It was a schoolmaster to bring us to Christ. So Moses would put his veil over his face so the children of Israel would not see the fading glory. Well, I know it sounds like I'm making that up. Let's read verse 12 and 13 again one more time, and then we'll close the book on it, but really we've just opened. Having therefore such a hope, we use great boldness in our speech, and are not as Moses, who used to put a veil over his face, that the sons of Israel might not look intently at the end of what was fading away. All right, I know you have lots of other questions saved for another day, and again, let's go to chapter 34 of Exodus now. We're getting very near the end of our Exodus story, and I have labored over this a little bit, or dwelled on it somewhat. I think I'm going to go ahead. You just can't study Moses and then you can't study Joseph and Genesis and then come to Moses and study Moses and Aaron and then just leave it hanging. So in some sense, we have to roll forward a little bit into Joshua. And so we'll do that. It's not going to be I promise you it's not going to be more than one quarter. We will not spend more than 13 weeks on Joshua. And I'm not promising that we're not going to, we might go to Judges, but maybe not right after Joshua. We might change our mind. But my whole plan here is, we say sometimes that we're weak in the Old Testament, but we don't do much about it. If we just keep plowing in the New Testament, it doesn't help us a whole lot. So our aim is to go back and to restudy some of the Old Testament texts. And besides that, they're very interesting and quite fascinating. Chapter 18, so we're almost at the end of this, maybe another week or two, 3 at most, on the book of Exodus, and then we'll begin in Joshua. Chapter 34. Chapter 34 of Exodus. And as you see in your notes, God is emphasizing to the children of Israel. Actually, I want to be in 35. That's what that you were asking, wasn't it?
She said 18, chapter 18, and I'm like,
Chapter 35, the first part. Just a little paragraph here. It seems like it's misplaced. He's already talked about this, but it says, Moses assembled all the congregation of the sons of Israel and said to them, these are the things that the Lord has commanded you to do. For in 6 days work may be done, but on the seventh day you shall have a holy day, a Sabbath of complete rest to the Lord. Whoever does any work on it shall be put to death. You shall not kindle a fire in any of your dwellings on the Sabbath day. The broader context here is they're about to begin to build the tabernacle. And it's going to be a beehive on steroids of activity as all the craftsmen do everything that they need to do to get, you can just imagine all the stuff going on. And sometimes when you get wrapped up in your work, what happens? You don't take time to stop and worship God, or stop and honor God, or stop and honor the Sabbath. And so God is kind of looking towards man's proclivity here, or tendency to do this. And so even before they begin full bore on this project, God says, I'm going to remind you now. You're going to stop on the Sabbath. And you're not, even though this is a glorious thing we're building here, you're not going to work on the Sabbath. It's not going to happen. If you do, you die. So he puts out that warning to them. That's why it is legitimate here. All right, let's just briefly here ask again. Do we, it's one of the 10 Commandments. Do we have to honor the Sabbath today? I'm not going to spend a minute on this. No?
As described by the Jews.
Yeah, in terms of the seventh day, man, we worked on our yard yesterday, Jeannie and Mark and I, for 4 hours. If I was a Jew, living in Old Testament times, I'd be dead.
You'd be doing it today.
What, Maggie?
You'd be doing your yard work today.
Well, perhaps, yeah. We roll it over to another day, but you do it. So we don't honor the seventh day. Now, what's happened in the minds, and this is so strange to me that Christendom as a whole is pretty ignorant on this. Because if you ask the average churchgoer, do we honor the Sabbath day? Oh, yes. And Sabbath is the Sunday. It's somehow Saturday has now rolled over to be Sunday. So in their minds, everything that applied to the Sabbath day now applies to Sunday. We've seen this in one of the greatest movies. What was it? Chariots of Fire. This Scottish runner, and he made it to the Olympics. He could fly like the wind, and when it came time for him to run, it was chosen that he would run on Sunday. And he would not. He refused to run. You know why? He had to honor the Sabbath. So we're not under the Old Testament any longer. Now, we're in the Sabbath. I don't want to confuse you there. But we're now citizens of the Sabbath. We live in the Sabbath. We live every day in the Sabbath. We are a covenant of the Sabbath. What I mean by that is that the Old Testament Sabbath was, the whole idea of the Sabbath was a day of rest, a time of rest. God, through the changing of the covenants, has brought us into a covenant of rest, where we don't have to work and earn our right standing with God. Remember, and here again you can connect words. Jesus says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. He's not talking about people that haven't heard day of work. He's talking about Jews who are weighted down by the law, especially the Jewish distortions of the Old Testament law. They could never do it right, and their whole lives were spent wondering, did I mess up? Come unto me, all ye that labor are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Not just talking about laying your head down and getting a good night. I'm going to bring you to a covenant world where you don't have to worry about all of these meticulous burdens that you're being forced to bear. Maggie?
Other than coming together for communion on the first day of the week, which is today, are there any other requirements in the New Testament that we should do on the first day? I mean, I know we come together and praise God, but obviously that should be every day, all the time. But are there any other suggestions on what to do of the new Sabbath, the first day of the week, other than communion?
Are you trying to cause trouble?
It's something I'd like to do, but I just curious if there was any other.
Well, okay, let's simplify it. One that jumps out at me is, since they were assembling on the first day, Paul says, let each of you lay by a store on the first day of the week. 1 Corinthians 16, verse 1. There's an interesting article about that, Maggie, since you didn't bring that up in particular, but a number of churches, the churches of Christ are always slow to get with it in terms of being up with the times. Maybe that's because we're so anchored in Scripture and we don't want to. But e-tithing has become very popular, especially in the big mega churches. What we mean by that is rather than passing around the collection plate, they still do that. But you have the option, you just take out your smartphone and and I was reading about one youth minister in our fellowship said that he started now, and he said, my goal in life is to never write another check. Well, that's kind of neat, really, I guess. Checks aren't that bad, that I would make that on my bucket list. But he has his banking account, just like I have mine set up to where bills are paid every month, automatic debits. Every week, his checking account is debited for a church contribution. He doesn't have to write a check. He doesn't have to worry when he goes out of town, can I leave my check for somebody to put in the plate? And in some sense, it's much more responsible than maybe the way we do it now, on the fly sometimes.
But back then, I mean, they actually had to physically give them money. That's why we wanted them to collect it, so they wouldn't have to go around house to house or whatever they did for money exchange.
Well, one last thing, and that's all right. We'll pick up here next week if we don't get much further. One of the preachers said e-tithing has some great benefits, and it may even there's usually a surcharge for it. We tried this at camp one year, and it ended up they charge you a certain percentage for every check that comes in. So you really have to have a lot of checks coming in to negate that percentage thing. But what this guy was saying, and I'm all with him on this, he said the problem is that there's something communal about this. I'm not talking about the Lord's Supper, but when we pass this around and all of us share, that's part of life in the body of Christ. Now, if we go all electronic, and so maybe we reach a point where we say, forget this, we don't even need this anymore. And maybe we don't, because our Roseanne, our treasurer, she could say, oh man, we have money coming in better than ever, and we don't even pass the plate around anymore. We can process that mentally, and we can still say we're pulling together as a family of God. But there's something in the act of doing it that's humbling, that reminds us collectively that Jesus said it's more blessed to give than to receive. So when we take part in it, I think it's very... So back to Maggie's question, we're trying to connect the Sabbath. Is there anything we're commanded to do on the first day of the week? And really, it's not so much a command as we see that the early Christians, and what was the trigger point that changed from the Sabbath to the first day?
Resurrection.
The resurrection of Jesus. He came forth from the grave on the first day. And that legitimized the gathering of the Christians on the first day of the week, and that becomes our template or the norm, the pattern that we see of the early church. And it's simple. There's not a whole lot of specification about it. If you want to know, did the early church have Sunday school at 10 o'clock? My brother-in-law thinks 11 is the scriptural time for the worship service. Well, where do you see that in the book of Acts? And did they have a Sunday school before? Did they have Sunday school after? Did they stay all day? Did they have, was the Lord's Supper like we do it today? Probably not. It was probably not, were they? I can promise you they did not have little cups of, and it was probably more like about what we're going to do afterwards, where we all gather for a meal, a love feast. And part of that meal is partaking of the bread and wine. So there's not a lot of clarity there. Did they come back in the evening? Did they stay all day? We don't know all. We do know that they enjoyed their fellowship together, and it became a pattern for their behavior that they did this every first day. And so Paul said, hey, since you're coming together on the first day, and since there are so many churches out here in the Gentile world where I'm preaching as a missionary of the gospel of Christ, and so many of them are destitute and in need, then since you're coming together, how about if you would lay by a sword? And actually this thing ended up taking a twist, because Paul is he's preaching among the Gentile churches, and he ends up saying, the mother church, the Jerusalem church, is undergoing terrible times right now. It's being persecuted. Many are having to flee from their homes. So what greater thing could we do as new brethren, Gentiles, than to take up an offering and send it back to our Jewish brethren and say essentially we love them? Even though the Jews, there were many in Jerusalem, false teachers who were going out saying, we can't have these Gentiles coming in unless they're circumcised and unless they pledge themselves to be keepers of the law. So it's kind of a complicated first century setting, but Paul ends up using the collection to kind of kill the Jews with kindness. So as they gathered in the whole Roman Empire world in Corinth or the churches in Galatia or Ephesus or wherever it was, Paul would say, when you come together on the first day, set aside some money so that when I make my rounds to visit, when I get there, you'll have a big pot of money that you put on my donkey and you say, take this to the saints in Jerusalem and tell them we love them. So it became a convenience.
And they were probably like, business-wise, had to take away from their business. And probably that time, Saturday is when people didn't do as much business, but then come Sunday, that's market day and work day. So when they came together, you had to kind of do it around.
That's a pretty good point there, Maggie, too, that the Jews would be back full throttle on Sunday, so the Christians, if they began worshiping on Sunday, had to sacrifice in ways other than that. Debbie?
I was just when she said that, made me think. She said maybe today the people that don't delve into the Bible think of today as the Sabbath because they don't think of today as the first day of the week. Because of our work week.
I gave you the full text of the Genesis citing in our notes this morning because I wanted you to see that, again, the foundation of the Sabbath observance. In 6 days, God created the heavens and the earth, and he rested on the Sabbath. And the Sabbath was the seventh day. This is kind of confusing to us in some ways. When we were over in England, they had a lot of calendars, and there are a lot of places in Europe, the first day of the week is Monday. And it was really not only sacrosanct to me, sacrilegious in that regard, but it was confusing, and I guess sometimes we have difficulty people transitioning to, but so we are keepers of the Sabbath observance in the sense that we're now in the world of rest. Grace is another term for it, but we're not obligated. I might go home this afternoon and work on some more leaves. It's Sunday. You say you can't do that on Sunday. Who says I can't? Now, it might not be the most expedient thing for me to do. If I had neighbors that were looking at me real carefully and say, I've never seen a preacher out there doing work on Sunday. That probably was a problem 30 years ago.
But
I'm
isn't
not
this
sure
your
it
work
is
day?
today. What's that?
This is your work day. I mean, we sit back every night, preparing the Bible study and preaching.
You were really trying. And this is, do you need, please don't clarify and say this is my only work day. I know what you're saying.
Your job, you're doing your job.
Right, so I can tell my neighbor, hey, I've already put in quite a bit of time at the office. All right, who else? Jan, and then Vic, and we're about done.
Well, if it's breaking leaves pleasure, or is it work?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, sometimes it can be work. I don't mind mowing and sucking up. It's the emptying bags every 2 minutes. And then having to bang on the sucker thing, you know, to get it to stop being plugged up. That's the hard part when you have to. I think I emptied like 60 bags, and I have a 3-bagger. 60 trips to empty if you complete that. And 3 days later, yesterday we finished our 4th complete time. Every lead we could find. And then we woke up this morning, and it looks like the neighbors are probably saying, why don't we get up their leaves? We've got them early and late. But I love where I live. I'm not complaining about it. All right, Maggie got us way off base here.
Getting back to Maggie's question about what were they told you.
Yeah.
And we're told not to forsake the assembling together as we have the sun. So we know they assembled together. And then we're told that they were singing the melody of their hearts. And no doubt they would also pray for them.
Yeah, we have, again, we don't have a passage that says, when you come together every Sunday, here's the 6 things you need to do. You know, you need to hear the word preach, you need to study the Bible, read the Bible, you need to give, you need to sing, you need to pray. We don't, by reading it, we understand that's what they did when they came together. The Lord's Supper and all of this was part of what they did. Anybody else?
Terry, my grandmother told me they had a farm. They had milk cows. She says, a cow has to be milked twice a day, every day. And she says, and she was a real religious woman. And she tried to go by the rules, but she says, we milk our cows on Sunday. It's a necessity.
You know, that makes me wonder what did the Jews do?
Well, we are told by Jesus because Jesus was always tending to heal on the Sabbath. And he says, he tell them, hey, don't you go and take care of your animals on the Sabbath? And he was telling that to the Pharisees and Sadducees.
Yeah, I think that was the immediate context is if you have a cow that falls into a ditch or a well or something, you don't leave them there because it's the Sabbath day, you go get them. But yeah, maybe that has a broader application too. Okay, Keith's making us quit here, but we're going to look at 35 and 36 next Sunday. And if Maggie's here, we'll put the veil over her.